name's Tara, otherwise known as Candy Mama, and this is
Omi.
or Debbie. And before we get into it, we're in the market for a new trail name, and we'll tell you why, because of the glaring wound on her head. So just keep that in mind as you're listening to this video.
We've gotten a lot of suggestions.
Yeah, as you're listening to this story, think about some trail names we can give Omi here.
Yeah.
As a new
Although the guy that I was hiking with, he was like, when I said my trail name was Omi, he was like, oh me.
Oh,
like,
oh me. That's funny.
Yeah.
Get right into it. Omi asked me to help her with this video to kind of talk about what happened. So we are going to get right into it. What happened? So you were on your last day of a section hike, and before this you had posted a video on that section hike.
Yeah, I had done, I have posted a video that is like the first day, and it's that video I talk about why I got off the trail at Burke's Garden and my feelings around it and everything.
Yeah. And then, so you're having a pretty good time.
I'm having a great time.
You're hiking well.
I did 2 days out in the woods and hiking well. I mean, I definitely had lost my trail legs, and so, you know, the uphills, I'm slow on the uphills anyway, but it was like even more slow, but I was feeling really good, and I was happy to be out in the peace of the quiet of the woods and everything. And I was on my last day, and I was about 4 miles from the end of the trail, and I was dreaming about, you know, going to Hardee's or wherever to get lunch. I was very excited about it. It was about 10 o'clock.
We're hiking into Pearisburg at this point.
Yep, hiking into Pearisburg. And I'm just walking along, and I tripped over a rock and face planted, literally. Didn't catch myself one bit.
You said your arms were back.
Yeah, I think my arms were back at that point.
So
Complete and utter face plant into the ground. And as soon as I hit, I knew. I didn't think it was going to be to this extent, but I knew that I was in trouble.
Yeah, because almost
Immediately, I was wearing a headband. I always wear a headband because the sweat will usually run into my eyes, and I don't like that. So I was wearing a headband, and I could feel it immediately starting to swell, and I could feel like the blood gushing down my face. So I took the headband off, and it just already was full of blood, and I just put it on my head, which the blood from it was horrific, because the blood from the headband and the blood rushing, it was just blood all over, and it's just really bad.
Yeah.
And so I had 10 minutes earlier, before I tripped, I had passed a number of people. I had passed somebody in a tent. I had passed a guy that was hiking. I had passed this very nice gentleman, just in case, at a utility pole, power line area. It was a view, and had passed him and talked to him a little bit there, and then walked down like 10 minutes. And so I sat up, and I just thought, well, all I had to do was just sit there and just wait for people to come. Yeah. And I really was struggling. Do I push the emergency beacon on my spot? I'm not really one that is like, I don't really like to call attention to myself. So that seemed a little extreme to me.
When you're
gushing blood is
squirting
it just
out of
seemed
your
like
head.
You use that in like a real emergency, like, you know, like here I am in the middle of the trail. I didn't really know what extent it was all like.
I would consider this a real emergency, just for future reference.
Okay. So I didn't know, like, I really didn't know the extent of it, and and then, it's like I could still move, like, anyway, so.
You called the hostel.
I did. I was staying I had parked my car and I stayed at Angel's Rest hostel, and highly recommend them. They are so nice there. Everything is so great, and before and during and after this whole incident, they took really good care of me. So
they were great.
They were fantastic. So love them there. Highly recommend them. But I sat there for like, I don't know, 5-7 minutes, and I was like, I'm really, really bleeding. This is a problem. And I could have walked out on my own, but I knew that it was probably best that I get help. So I called them up, and Angel's Rest, and I said, I've fallen on the trail and it's really bad and I need help. And so Hot Tamale, that works there, said, okay, we'll get somebody to come out. And they ended up calling 911, which was a good thing. And then as I was on the phone with them, I see the hiker, just in case, walking up the trail, and I turned to look at him, and he gave me this startled look, and he goes, oh my God, what happened? And I said, I fell, and then he says, okay, let me see, and I pulled it away, and he goes, okay, we need, this is not good. And so he had this bandana, Samaritan Purse bandana, and he's like, let's change out what you've got on there and just hold that on. And so I did, and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna take your backpack. He was a
thru hiker?
He was not he is a
day hiking.
He was day hiking. He was slack packing that day.
He is a thru hiker.
Yeah, he's a thru hiker, but he had a slack pack on his back, so it wasn't really. So he tied his slack pack to my backpack, took my backpack, put it on, and then he was like, "Can you get up?" Because at that point we were thinking we're just gonna walk out, and so we. I got up and I was fine. I mean, I didn't feel lightheaded. I didn't pass out at all. I felt good. I was just a little woozy, and it was just uncomfortable because I'm trying to hold this thing on my head, and I'm trying to walk and watch where I'm walking, and
you fall again.
Yeah.
The other side.
Oh my gosh. So we started walking, and then people, groups of people started passing us. And at one point, he gave his phone number to these other group of hikers and was like, when you get service, please call somebody, because he had T-Mobile, so he didn't have any service. So, so I guess they called 911 too, because they ended up calling his phone, just in case his phone, and to find out where we were on the trail. So a couple groups passed by, and then two young guys came up. One was Grasshopper, and the other one, I forget his name, but he was from Ireland. And they walked with us for a while, and Grasshopper had Verizon, so between the two of them, they were able to kind of communicate with 911, like our positioning exactly. But I walked probably 2.5 miles until we got to the Angels Rest area, the rock formation there, and then the search and rescue.
Well, before this, as they're hiking, Mom sees this beautiful view.
Oh.
And she's like, oh, what a nice view.
I was like, oh, isn't that pretty? Look at that view.
As she's gushing out of her head, and
yeah,
they ended up taking a photo.
Yeah, so Grasshopper's like, go over there and stand over there, and this will be a really good picture.
I'm sure you can insert that in
I
here.
can, I will insert it.
But just smiling, enjoying the day, despite a finicky little head wound.
Just a little troublesome.
Just a little bump on the head. That's all. We had to come inside because it is raining. So now we're inside.
Yes. So, he took my picture at the view, and it was a beautiful view. So we just kept hiking, and then, you know, they kept trying, you know, to get into, find out. I guess search and rescue, what they were doing was coming up like a cell phone tower road and then bushwhacking across to the trail. So they were like, okay, just stop walking. We were like a mile and a half from the end. Like I could have walked down, and it would have been a lot easier for everybody if I just walked down the trail, but that's not what they wanted to do. So we stopped, and they finally caught up to us, and they took off the bandana, and she wrapped me up, and I had a whole thing on my head. I think I'll put a picture in. It'll be from the hospital, but it'll show like how they wrapped me up. It looked ridiculous. And so Grasshopper and Just in Case just left at that point. They weren't needed anymore, and was very thankful for them. It was so thankful for them. And you know, Grasshopper said something that just rings so true about the trail and everybody on it. And he just said, I said, thank you so much. This, you know, I'm so glad that you were there, and I'm so thankful for you to be here and to help me. And he goes, of course, this is the Appalachian Trail. We take care of each other out here. And that was just so, meant a lot. And it just was just so true. Yeah. So, like, when you're hiking on the trail, you know, unless you're hiking in a season where there's not a lot of people, just know your surroundings and be very careful. But when you're hiking in a season where there's a lot of hikers, everybody takes care of each other out there. And it was just such a wonderful community. And I really, in my time of need, it was just so great.
They took good care of you, but then I was just thinking of what if they saw you like, oh, looks like you hurt yourself. Well,
like you bumped your head
down the trail. I just kept going. I'd hope they would take care of you.
Well, you know, like he could have stepped over top of me and like
looks like you got a deal with something there.
Yeah, looks like you got a cut.
I think I got a Band-Aid in my pack somewhere.
Yeah. So
yeah, but that is very nice that they stopped and went over and beyond to help you.
They did over and beyond, and just so great. So anyway, we literally bushwhacked out, and got to the car or to the truck. They rode me down, and at the bottom, there's all these people waiting. Like, this was a whole, like...
This was the biggest thing
This was the biggest thing in Pearisburg for a few days, I think. People were waiting down there, and then and then an ambulance was down there. I really didn't want to go in an ambulance. I didn't need to go in an ambulance. I could have walked out. Could have gotten in a car and gone to wherever I needed to go. But it's just not their procedure or whatever. So I got in an ambulance, went to, it's a hospital, but I think they don't put, like, if you read it's like, I forget the name of it, but it's like, it doesn't say hospital, it says clinic at the end. But they have an emergency room. So they wheeled me in there, and the lady from the emergency, the EMT, showed them pictures and everything, and they were like, oh gosh.
And at this point, you hadn't seen.
No, I didn't.
You didn't know the extent of what had happened.
You
just knew.
I didn't really want to see the pictures.
Yeah.
I knew that it was bad, and I knew they were describing it to me, but I didn't really get a mental picture of it. So I didn't really want to see it.
Yeah.
Because I knew if I saw it that
you might have gone in shock or something.
I don't know. I might have started crying, or I might have. I'm pretty strong person when I have injuries. I've had a lot of injuries in my life, so
This is the third scar on Mom's head that she's had in her life. So if that gives you any.
Yeah, and I've broken a lot of bones, and I've had a lot of things happen. So I'm pretty stoic when it comes to this type of stuff. I don't get overly upset about it.
Right.
Whatever it is, it'll get fixed as long as I can walk, as long as I can talk, as long, I put everything in perspective, and it'll get fixed. So I didn't see at all, but they were all talking about it, and I could hear the EMT describing it to them, and they still hadn't unwrapped me. So the doctor was like, okay, here's the thing. We're gonna have a CAT scan to see if you've done some damage to your skull. And then we're gonna unwrap you, and I'm gonna take a look at it. She said, but if the cut has gone all the way to the skull, it's gonna be totally different than me just stitching you up here. It's gonna be, you're gonna have to go 45 minutes from here, go to a hospital, get admitted, go to the operating room, where they'll have to clean it out and stitch you up. And I was like, oh no, please. It's already, this is all already too much for me.
Yeah.
It's already okay, the focus is on me way too much now.
Yeah.
Still. So, but I was like, oh. So she was, but I'll take a look at it once I unwrap you, but let's do the CAT scan. So we did the CAT scan, came back. She had lots of other people in the emergency room, so they gave me a pain med, and that made it feel much better. And then she came back, she unwrapped it, she looked at it, and she's like, all right, I think I can stitch you. I don't think it hasn't gone all the way to the skull. So I'm like, okay, good. So the worst part about the whole thing was when they inject you with the pain med, and they have to do it right in the cut. And it is so stinking painful. I can't even describe it. It's almost worse than the injury.
Yeah, I've had to get my toe, doing that in my toe to get it surgically removed, the toenail. And that, I felt white and faint when they were doing it. And I feel like I have a pretty high pain tolerance.
Yeah.
And I know you do too with all your injuries.
Yeah.
So that is the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the worst part. We had to do that in stages. because it was just so painful.
And that's such a big cut,
and
too.
you can't move. Like, they don't want you to move when they're injecting you, obviously, because it could affect it. So anyway, so they got me all injected. She stitched me all up. And then I was like, okay, I'll take a picture of myself. And I was like, how many stitches? And I knew it was a lot because she was in there for a really long time putting stitches in. And she was like, 26 stitches. 26 stitches, and it goes like from here all up. It's like an upside down L. Yeah. And it just kind of goes up, and then it goes into the hairline, and then down over here. And then I have just like a scrape right here on my head. So she stitched me up, and...
Well, when you saw the picture, because you took a picture of yourself.
I took a picture of myself.
How did you feel when you saw that?
I was like, oh, wow. I had no idea, like you don't know how large, I had no idea how large it was. I mean, I thought 26 stitches and it was just, but it's like, it's an elongated scar, like over here.
I'm sure you'll put a photo
I will,
there with a better view of it.
Yeah. So it's, It
was alarming. And we get phone calls from her before she's seen the photo or before she sent us the photo. And me and Jonathan are on our way to go be with her, like we are right now. And, Jonathan's not very dramatic. He doesn't voice his concern, even if he is a little concerned. So when he says, "Oh my gosh," when he sees the photo and I'm driving, I know it's bad. And so I look at the photo and I instantly start crying because it's just so dramatic. I mean, by the way she was talking to us on the phone beforehand, you would have thought she got like a little bump on the head or something. She's like, yeah, just getting some stitches. But they said on the CAT scan, no concussion. They said no broken anything. That you got a black eye there.
The black eye, I mean, I knew I would get a black eye, but it's very black. It's actually gotten better.
Yeah, it looks a lot better.
It's gotten better. So Tara and Jonathan came. We spent the night at Angel's Rest, and then we have this house in the mountains. They were coming up to this area anyway for a wedding, so we just drove over here. And for 2 days, like a day and a half, I just kind of rested here, and the eye, like the first night was like basically closed and big and black and blue. And then the second day was much better, and today it's much better, and yeah. So it's getting better over time.
Yeah.
The end of this week, I need to have the stitches out. I'll go to my doctor near home and have the stitches removed. And then the doctor in Pearsburg kept talking about plastic surgery because it is right in the middle of my head, and she's not a plastic surgeon. So she's like, it's going to be a gnarly scar. So we'll see. We'll have my doctor look at it and see about maybe if I need plastic surgery or not. I would prefer not, because I don't want to go through all of that again, because they would have to cut it open and it would be a surgery. It wouldn't just them stitching me up. They'd have to cut it open, clean it all out, and do their work. And then it would have to be a whole big recuperation process again. So I really don't want to have to do that, but I also don't want to look like Frankenstein.
That brings us to the new trail names. Now that you know this story, please include your trail name suggestions in the comment section below.
You should tell them some of the suggestions, like Frankenmom.
Al Capone. Valkyrie. Yeah, a lot of good ones. But this is just one saga in Mom's Appalachian Trail story, and it's a pretty. I'm sure that story has made its way all the way to Maine by now.
I don't know.
The way stories travel on trail, it's pretty incredible what you can hear in a matter of time. But she's good, recovering, and
yep, I'll be fine.
She'll be fine.
I'll be good. All is good.
Back on trail in some way or form.
Yeah.
In the near future.
I don't know that a through hike is in my cards this year.
Oh yeah.
Part of
for sure.
Yeah, not finishing up the through hike is
maybe. We never know.
Well, I don't think so. I'm a little traumatized by. I mean, you know, how many times do you catch yourself when you're I caught myself thousands of times during this whole time that I was out there, like, and prevent myself from falling. But now I'm like, you know, now I'm a little like, I'm gonna ease back into the walking on the trail thing. That's fine. Yeah. So I don't know that finishing the through hike is in my cards this year, but like my mom says, you got to get back on the horse. Got to get back out on the horse. So I'm thinking, you know, at some point I got to get out, even if it's like on my local trail. I've got to get out and just get back out on a trail, so that
the longer amount of time that you wait to do that, the more you think about it, and the more nerves build up. So there's some truth to the Linda Kilcullen-ism.
Right.
Yeah. All right. That is it for the story.
The story of the
scar,
and the head injury, and everything. All is okay. I'm okay.
She's in great spirits. It's pretty incredible how okay she is doing. It's like, I think I would be more upset if she was more upset, but she's not. And I thought going and seeing her, it would be really tough, but she's like carried it. And she's like been just fine. So she's okay.
I'm good. I just, you know, we'll just take it step by step from here, and I'll keep you all updated if you want to know like what ends up happening. If I, you know, I'll take a picture of maybe I'll do another short video of like after the stitch is out and what the doctor says, and then if I have to have plastic surgery, I'll maybe do another short video on, you know, that whole process. But
I'm sure they would want to know.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye all.
Bye everybody. How do you feel, Mom? We're at Angel's Rest Hikers Haven.
I feel okay.
You bumped your head a little bit.
I just took oxycodone, so I'm feeling a little. Feel like I need to sit down.
In spite of all the odds, she's got a great attitude and a very positive demeanor right now, which I'm just so surprised about. But
well, I'm not in pain.
Right. Yeah, that is true.
At 3 o'clock in the morning, I was not in such a great mood. But
we're gonna go home and rest.
Yep.